Looks like we've got a quorum walking in here. Thank you for being here today. This is the 18th meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on State and Local Government. And Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Here.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel. Senator McGarvey. Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth. Senator Storm.
Here.
Senator Thayer.
Here.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Nemes.
Present.
Senator Mills.
I'm here. Let me turn my sound to my phone. Okay, the first item we're going to take up is Representative Elliott's bill. He's first on the agenda. Representative Daniel Elliott, if you could come to the table and introduce yourself for the record, and the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members. I'm Daniel Elliott. I'm the state representative for the 54th Legislative District, which is Boyle and Casey counties. And House Bill 248 is a measure that would create a new section of KRS 48 that would prohibit the expenditure of appropriated funds by any elected statewide constitutional officer and any other state official, employee, or agency except for the Attorney General and the Department of Public Advocacy in a criminal matter to bring or support a challenge to the constitutionality of any legislative act or resolution of the General Assembly. This act would be retroactive to January 1, 2022, and the rationale behind it is extrapolated in Section 3, that the act is imperative as the General Assembly has the constitutional authority to make the laws, the governor's constitutional obligation to enforce the laws, and the public's confidence in its chief legal officer, the Attorney General, to advise on the constitutionality of legislation.
Okay, we have a motion from Senator Wheeler, second from Senator Nemes. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel. Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemes.
Aye.
Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you may.
I'd like to vote aye, and in explaining my vote, note that this bill already has 2 readings and is prepared to move. I vote aye.
Thank you.
Senator Wheeler. Aye. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 248 passes with favorable expression 9-1. Representative Elliott, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, have a great day.
Next item we're going to take up is House Bill 334. You did have one no. Yep. Is House Bill 334. Representative Baker, if you could introduce yourself for the record.
I apologize. I was
you go.
talking so loud I could hear myself, but I did not realize. Should I start over? Or
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
okay. Section 1 increases the penalty from $1,000 to $15,000 for someone who attempts to corrupt a member of the General Assembly. Section 2 changes the composition of the Executive Branch Ethics Commission. Currently, there are 5 members on the commission. The governor has the sole authority to appoint those 5 members. This expands the Executive Branch Ethics Commission from 5 members to 7 members. The governor retains 2 of those appointments. The other 5 appointments are given to each of the other constitutional officers. They would each appoint 1. The terms of the existing members will terminate on the effective date of this act, and 7 new members will be appointed by the officials listed in subsection 2. And that's pretty much it.
Senator Thayer has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a great bill, and I don't know why it took so long for us to get around to giving other constitutional officers who are part of the executive branch an appointment. So thank you for bringing it, and I move favorable expression. Motion, same shall pass.
We have a motion from Senator Thayer, a second from Dr. Alvarado, or Senator Alvarado. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Is there another question? Sorry. Senator Nemes.
Until the new appointments are made, who will be on the board? Will they fill it out until they're reappointed, or there's an end? And
Well, I did look at that. So they would be, on the effective date of the act, there would be new appointments for that. There is one member that expires in May of 2022, and honestly, I'm not sure how that will be handled. I discovered that last week when I was going through there. So there is one vacancy that looks like would remain at this point.
when when this goes into effect, everybody is gone, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So, and if the appointments have not been made yet, we have no board. Is that correct?
I would foresee that being a simultaneous. Those will be gone and simultaneously reappointed to new members.
Okay. Is the Senate approval on the members?
This does not include Senate approval on the members. No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel. Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemes.
I'd like to explain my vote.
Yes, you may.
I vote aye, but I still think we need to look at, make sure we don't, there's a lapse between no board.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Spend my yes vote.
Yes, you may.
I think this is a well thought and intended bill. The only thing that I saw that kind of really made me think it was weird was the order in which the different members start with their 1, 2, 3, and 4, because it's not in the order of, let's say, succession in the Constitution or whatever. I was just kind of wondering what the order was. But once we get up and rolling, it really doesn't matter because it'll be kind of a rolling thing. So I vote yes.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you may.
I vote aye. Also checked, and this bill also has 2 readings and is ready to go this week.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 334 passes with favorable expression 9-1. Thank you, Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you.
Next item we're going to take up is House Bill 227. I think Representative Hart is out there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Mark Hart, 78th House District. House Bill 227, it establishes the first Saturday in October as First Responder, Doctor, and Healthcare Professional Day. And that's pretty much what it does. So if there's any questions.
We have a motion from Senator Wheeler, second from Senator Southworth. Any questions for Representative Hart? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel. Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemes.
Aye.
Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. House Bill 227 passes 10-0, and we have a motion for consent from Senator Alvarado, a second from Senator Wheeler. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? House Bill 227 moves to our consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Very welcome. Alrighty. Is Representative Duplessis here yet?
I'm on the line.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Are you still stuck in traffic?
Well, the traffic's moving, but I'm 10 minutes away from the Capitol. So
Okay. Representative Duplessis, we're going to go ahead and hear House Bill 668.
Great, thank you.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Thank you for hearing me on a Zoom call. Technology is saving me on this one. So as PPOB co-chairman with Senator Higdon, in our last meeting, we had a request from the CHMCs and from the universities that there were some issues with the way that the systems, KPPA, were determining who was going to be considered eligible for Section 7 of last year's House Bill 8. The current statute talked about having historical analysis, which KPPA was taking to mean all the way back to the inception, whereas that makes it really, really difficult to get to the bottom of who's a contract worker and who's not. So we asked the two groups and the university, the two groups and the systems to get together to work out a compromise as to how we could move forward. And they brought that to us probably about 10 days ago. We've worked together. We have all the universities are on board. The CHMCs are on board. KPPA says that they are good with it. The actual analysis says that there's no impact to the state or to the system. With that, this was again a mutually worked on bill. There was some pushback from one group that was concerned that there was going to be some personal information shared. But the personal information that's being shared is simply the same information that's being shared with GRS, which would be information that the employers already would have. It just gives them the ability to determine if the information being sent to them is accurate. It's not any new information that would be shared outside of what's already known. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd love to take them.
Sure. Senator Southworth has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have two questions. One, he just was right in the middle of, where he said it's already being shared, and so on page 17 it says that we got added bold language here. It says, except that Kentucky Retirement System shall be required to release account information to the employer as required by subsection of whatever the other section where we're actually sharing the information. So if it's already being shared, because I was wondering if it was, then why do we actually need that part of the bill?
Senator, it's not currently being shared. Current statute says that it may be shared. What is being shared is the information is being shared with the actuary, not with the employer. And so we've asked the employers to start paying their liabilities. We've asked them to start reporting all employees as well. And so they've just requested that there be some way to make sure that what the system is saying is their employees and is their liabilities, that they have a way to verify that. And that's all this is. So it won't be sharing all the information that KPPA has, but the information that they're sharing with the actuaries will also be available to the employers.
Okay, the other question I had was on page 8, where it lists off all the services that are not included in this. And
yes.
It lists off this pile of services. Normally lists like that scare me because we're going to leave something out, and it's easier to word it in the inverse to where it's not limiting. But
yes.
Can you explain how this is developed?
Yes.
Are we sure we're not leaving things out?
Yeah, and that's honestly, it's a good question that had I been in front of your committee and not feeling rushed on a phone, I would have done a better job explaining with the papers in front of me. But as we sat through this process, so what we wanted, think about a university, they're the easiest to explain. If a university has converted some of their employees to, say, what used to be landscapers and groundskeepers, they've made them now contractors. A contractor is not a core service of a university. I mean, a groundskeeper is not a core service of a university, nor is somebody working in a cafeteria. The universities have done a lot of work by bringing in companies that provide, quite honestly, better food services at lower prices by doing it this way. So House Bill 8 was going to force them to put those services, those non-core services, back in. into an employee situation instead of a contract situation, which was never the intent. The intent was to keep core services, to bring core services back in. For instance, some of the regional mental health centers created temporary employment services, basically, and then brought all their employees, fired them, and brought them all back in under a different name, so they didn't have to pay the pension costs. Well, that was not ever the intention of this body. We want core services to be back in the system, but if they want custodial staff to be hired out on a contract, well, that's why we've allowed those exemptions. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Representative Duplessis? If not, a motion will be in order.
So moved.
Motion made by Senator Alvarado, a second from Senator Wheeler. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel.
Cast my vote and explain.
Yes, you may.
Representative Duplessis, I wish that you could be here in person. I wanted to say the same thing to you that I had kind of echoed to Representative Miller the other week. You're heading into a much deserved phase of life here, and congratulate you for it. And but to the same end, your intellect and your devotion to a task that is thankless and wonky and never fits well on a 3x5 push card has been tremendous. And much like Representative Miller, the Commonwealth will owe you a debt of gratitude that they'll just never understand. And I was honored to serve with you, and best wishes. Cass Nyberg.
Well, thank you very much, Senator McDaniel. Same here.
Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Explain my I vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you can.
I normally am very, very concerned about data privacy, and I don't know that I have all of my questions answered, but I think and hope that they're answered enough that I can timidly move forward and hopefully get further clarification before this thing finalizes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Mills.
I vote aye, and House Bill 668 passes with favorable expression 9-1. Representative Duplessis, thank you so much. And once
Thank you,
again,
Chairman.
Thank you for your time and your dedication to PPOB as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We are waiting for one of the presenters to show up on 594, so we will move to House Bill 740, which is Representative Cook's bill, and he is stuck on the farm today, and I'm going to cover this for him. House Bill 740 is related to campaign finance, and there is a committee substitute, so if I could have a motion to adopt it. We have a motion from Senator Thayer, a second from Senator Alvarado on the committee sub. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The committee sub is enacted. Okay. House Bill 740 is related to campaign finance and does a couple things, and we'll run down these real quick. The first thing it does is it defines the word form and updates the language to include online language. It also permits a candidate to file annual campaign reports unless they're seeking statewide office, and then that requires more active reporting. It deletes campaign finance requirements relevant to spouse of the contributor. It permits a member of the General Assembly who is contemporaneously running for a statewide office to accept campaign contributions from an employer of a legislative agent or a permanent committee during session. It permits necessary travel to be included as an allowable campaign expense. It permits campaign account donations to political parties or caucus campaigns. And then finally, it has an emergency clause connected to this. So, are there any questions? Senator Southworth has a question.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still trying to get the 36 pages together here, and some of these I'd reviewed, and some of them I've not reviewed as in detail, and the little form here is very handy, except for when it confuses me.
Yeah.
So on number 5 of this form section, it says, permit campaign account donations to a political party or caucus campaign committee for auctions and fundraisers. Can you?
Let me get to that. So,
I'm gonna find it in here at one point, but I'm not really clear because when we like go to ticketed events, we pay for them anyway. So I'm not sure what exactly we're doing here. And I'll keep looking for it too.
you're fine. A member of the General Assembly may utilize funds in his or her campaign account to contribute up to $5,000 per year to a political party or caucus campaign committee. Member of the General Assembly may make allowable campaign expenditures in both election years and non-election years. So the change was contribute up to $5,000 per year.
Well, I think currently, is it not like unlimited? It's one of the ways you can dispose of money if you're trying to get,
no, it's
you know,
not.
if you like decide not to run or whatever, you withdraw from a race, you could dispose of it by donating it all to a party. Am I mixed up?
You're close. We have an expert that is here just in case. If you can give your name for the record, please.
John Steffen, Executive
John.
Director of the Registry of Election Finance, and I can explain.
Sure.
Senator Southworth. There's kind of different ways, but what this bill is doing is clarifying that candidates can give up to $5,000 out of their campaign accounts to the caucus campaign committees or executive committees, which is really already the practice. It just clarified the language and put that figure in there. What you're thinking of is at the end of the campaign, which is in a different section, you can contribute any money you have left to the party, but that's after an election. This is the $5,000 is leading up to an election. And you still have the ability to give $200 per event to other candidates. That's in a third section. So there's like 3 different sections. This one just clarifies that $5,000 allowable expenditure out of your campaign funds to an executive committee or caucus committee.
Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since John is here and the topic is brought up, and it was my language in a bill several years ago, I just want to make sure that this committee sub does nothing to inhibit elected officials giving $5,000 to as many executive committees as they'd like to, as long as it's duly reported.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the part that you were talking about is on page 23 as far as when you're liquidating your account. So,
Yes.
any other questions? Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, it would not allow you, say, if you ran for state representative in the past and you had excess funds and you're now running for state senator, you wouldn't be able to roll those funds over into your new account, would you?
No, that's not changed.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Southworth.
I'm assuming we have a little bit of time for an additional question. On the part that on number 4 on this list that says permit the member of the General Assembly who's also running for statewide office to accept the campaign contributions during the session. I know that's legislative ethics, so I get why it's being changed, but do we have any more information on like who thought this was a good idea? Because to me, influence during the session more or less has to do with your action as the legislator, not necessarily as the candidate. That might be a question for the sponsor.
Yeah, I
I'm not
can't
sure.
answer that.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that real
Rewind?
quick? Yeah, shortly. Give a quick summary, and I'll see if I can.
The
answer
thought
that.
behind having the member of the General Assembly who's running for state office be able to take the campaign contributions during session. Do you know, because I understand it's legislative ethics, so it doesn't really apply to the executive branch, but at the same time, the focus on that, I think, is more for legislators during the session, really has nothing to do with the fact of which office they're running for. So why are we changing that only for those people?
Well, I think it does because I think, Senator.
So, like,
Senator McDaniel.
you could use the past gubernatorial race as an example, where in essence the ticket that had Representative Atkins on it at that point in time was financially disadvantaged to the other tickets because while he was here during the course of a primary, they couldn't necessarily raise money using the same mechanism. So it creates an unfair finance playing field for them. That's the thought behind this.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And,
Okay, thank
and the, before this, the only exception to that rule was a member of the General Assembly that was in a special election, like if there's a special election during session. So it only makes sense if you're waiving it for that special election to waive it for somebody running for that executive level position.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Have all our questions answered? We have a motion? Good. Okay, we have a motion from Senator Thayer, second from Senator Alvarado. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel. Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemus. Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Mills.
I vote aye as well. House Bill 740 passes with favorable expression, 9-1. And then we have a title amendment that's needed. We have a motion from Senator Wheeler, a second from Senator McDaniel. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The title amendment is accepted. Our last item on the agenda, and I believe Senator West just walked in, is House Bill 594. Representative Pratt, Senator West, if you would come to the table, the floor would be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members for allowing me to hear this bill, hearing my bill, excuse me. House Bill 594 is a piece of legislation that will help bring transparency and accountability to the development of administrative regulations while ensuring that financial concerns of small businesses are heard by the executive and legislative branches. This bill is quite simple in nature and ensures a cost analysis be performed during the development of administrative regulations. Currently, a state-level administration body that is promulgating an administrative regulation only considers the cost of regulations may have on the state or local government. This legislation extends the same considerations provided to state and local governments to the regulated entity, in many cases, Kentucky business community. This legislation sets up and defines a process for the administrative body to explain if a cost estimate cannot be determined, so the Administrative Regulation Review Subcommittee can better understand why a number cannot be reached. If found the proposed administration regulation contains a major negative economic impact on local government or regulated entity, then the Administrative Regulation Review Subcommittee may, not shall, find the regulation deficient. This regulation does not change any process for issuing or implementing emergency administrative regulations. We felt this is important considering circumstances surrounding potential cases for emergencies or natural disasters. House Bill 594 in no way changes or requires the General Assembly or our committees to change existing regulations already on the books. It does not in any way reduce regulations already in effect. Only regulations that would be required to have a cost analysis done are those created after effective date of this act. House Bill 594 makes no changes to Administrative Regulation Subcommittee oversight or powers of the committee. It does not in any way change the process of implementation for administrative regulations. House Bill 594 sets up a clearly defined process to hold the Commonwealth and General Assembly accountable to our regulated entities for regulations that impact their bottom line and ability to create jobs. In closing, this bill is to help thousands of Kentucky small businesses and local governments who cannot afford the attorneys, lobbyists, or consultants to help them influence the development or creation of administrative regulations which impact their day-to-day business operations.
Senator West, would you like to add a few comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here in my role as chair of the Administrative Regs Committee, and just want to chime in, thank Representative Pratt for the bill. My experience as chair of the committee is that the cabinets are usually through fiscal impact statements. You know, they're all the time looking out for the government,
how it will affect their fees, how it will affect their ability to operate. But they really many times don't necessarily care how it affects the citizenry and business in Kentucky. So this bill will help cure that problem.
Alrighty. We have another guest that's going to speak to this. Mr. Fitzgerald, if you'd like to come forward.
Will you join us?
Tom shared with me that this may be his last testimony before our committee and several other committees, and he's been here.
Mr. Chairman,
Frankfurt for a
I
while.
hope, in light of the earlier bill, I hope that this being possibly my last testimony is not prohibited something of value to the committee. I appreciate this opportunity to appear before you to ask that you reject House Bill 594. I have a few basic concerns. I've shared them with Representative Pratt earlier. First is that existing law already requires that, as part of the regulatory impact analysis that Senator West mentioned, that the agency proposing a new or revised regulation identify the types of, quote, individuals, businesses, organizations, or state or local governments affected by the administrative regulation, end quote, and requires also an analysis of how they'll be impacted, a detailed explanation of the actions they'll have to take to comply, an estimate of the costs imposed in order to comply, and the benefits that may accrue as a result of compliance. House Bill 594 adds no value to current law or to the regulatory review process that's already there regarding the agency's assessments of costs imposed to business entities subject to the regulatory obligations, to the extent that the agencies are not complying with existing law regarding an assessment of those costs. The Administrative Reg Committee and the Committee of Jurisdiction after the Administrative Reg Committee already have remedies to address that. My second concern is that overwhelmingly, and this is based on 44 years of experience and proudly working with the agencies and proudly appearing before this august body, that the regulations that are overwhelmingly adopted by the state agencies are done so in response to General Assembly mandate. The General Assembly has decided that we should seek and administer federally delegated programs. As part of that program responsibility, we have to adopt regulations that are counterparts to the federal regulations. Those federal regulations have already gone through a robust cost-benefit analysis, as you're probably aware, and have to get through the Office of Management and Budget, among other agencies. It seems wasteful and adding no value again to require a third cost assessment that has already been done twice, once under existing state law and once under federal law. And my third concern is this, and you'll pardon me if I'm a little blunt on this, and this is not a reflection on Representative Pratt. This bill has been around for a long time, the so-called RAINS Act. It's been around since Jeff Davis was congressman. It's been around and kicking around different states as well as Congress. And I think it was kicking around here some years ago. The most recent iteration, I think, was 2017. After 44 years of working on regulatory issues in the Commonwealth and appearing before this General Assembly, I can tell you that the premise of the bill, which is that regulatory actions of administrative agencies are out of control and need to be reined in, is fundamentally flawed and not grounded in fact. The reality is the instances in which a legislative committee has found a regulation of the executive branch to be deficient or inconsistent with legislative mandate are extremely rare. From 2000 to 2021, by my count, there were roughly 25 such regulations, 6 or 7 of which dealt with one issue, which was trying to bring some control over industrial scale hog operations. Some of you will remember that was very controversial at the time. During the period of 2005 to 2021, excluding emergency regulations, there were 9,676 regulatory actions by agencies amending or adopting new regulations. In percentage terms, the number of regulations that were found to be deficient by either the Administrative Reg Committee or the second committee review were 0.24% of those regulatory actions. That, in my mind, hardly demonstrates a need to rein in the agencies, and I consider the suggestion that they are out of control to be somewhat of a slight to the hardworking men and women who work for the executive branch at short pay in order to protect the building blocks of our economy: clean air, clean water, clean land, and a healthy workforce. After this bill passed the House, one legislator's newsletter described it as providing, quote, greater oversight into the use of the regulatory process by the executive branch. It also ensures the regulatory process is not used to make laws without the legislature, end quote. Actually, the bill does neither. It requires that agencies duplicate existing cost analyses already required by Kentucky law, and in most cases by federal law. It selectively focuses on costs while ignoring benefits that regulations provide to the regulated entities, to workers in the workplace, and to the public. And it does nothing to make sure that regulations conform to legislative intent, which is already monitored by 2 committees. For each of these reasons, I would request that you reject House Bill 594. And for what may be my last time, I want to express my profound appreciation to each one of you, to this committee as a whole, and Senator Schroeder, to you in particular. It has been a privilege, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. And I'm sorry that everything seemed to be going smoothly until I showed up.
Senator Thayer has a question or comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, God love you. I've been on this, been in here and on this committee longer than anyone in this room right now, and the one consistent thing is you coming before this committee disagreeing with things I agree on. So no other way to send you on your way than to make a motion that the bill be reported favorably. Motion same shall pass.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Senator Alvarado.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator McDaniel.
Cast my vote and explain.
You may.
Well, sometimes there's people who are just as valuable institutionally as the members are. And Tom, I've probably voted against you more times I voted with you, but you know, you've never failed to bring well thought out points that, although they express a view in opposition to a lot of ours, certainly are worthy. And once again, like I told Representative Duplessis, I wish you all the well and everything that you do with wherever you're headed after this. So
thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
He needs to vote.
Was that an aye vote? Okay, is it an aye?
Thank you. Senator McGarvey. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Schroeder. Senator Southworth.
Spend my aye vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
Likewise, I've not been here nearly as long serving with Fitz, but I do remember him from way years back. And I was like, now, who is that guy? And anyway, now we have many mutual friends. And so thank you so much for your service and always being somebody that we can count on to get information, because sometimes there's a lack of that around here. And that's one of the reasons why I'm voting for this. The tiering and cost assessment, I always felt like in the regulations are so stupid, because the question is always like, how is this going to impact state funding? And I'm like, it doesn't even impact state funding. But there again, I think that is the problem and the reason why we need to work on this issue more, because I don't see that the agencies are as out of control as the legislature is. We write stuff in bills and say, oh, we'll expect the agencies under some umbrella to figure it out later. And we really shouldn't be doing that, because we're creating our own problems. And regulations should not be affecting the public as much as they are. And that's why the set forth outline doesn't work for all of these regulations that are going out on people's, into their faces, into their farms, into their lives. They should have been there in the first place. And it really comes back on us. And we're a part-time legislature. We have more than a full-time job. So we got to figure out a way to do this and make it work. So I think we need more work, obviously, in the future on generally these topics, but at least it's a start, and we'll keep going. Thank you.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, explain my aye vote.
Yes, you may.
Tom, no, I've not been down here as long as some of the other folks either, but I guess you informed me today that you've been coming down here at least as long as one of my fellow Pike Countyans, Herbie Deskins, when he used to be in the legislature. So, good friend of mine. But I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to get to know you better down here, but I appreciate all your hard work through the years in front of the legislature, and hopefully we'll see you around in capacity in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Mills.
I vote aye, and House Bill 594 passes with favorable expression 9-1. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you,
And
members.
that is the last item on our agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.